And up next, we have an interesting presentation, I believe, coming from Veikkaus, Janne Vuorenmaa, who works as development manager. And Veikkaus, in case you don't happen to know, is the biggest web store in Finland, I guess, by annual turnover. So
by any measurement, basically.
Biggest by any measure. That's quite a good start for any talk. So welcome, Janne, and please give us an idea what happens in data-driven design at Veikkaus.
Okay, thanks. My name is Janne Vuorenmaa. I'm the head of development for digital sales, and I'm really happy to be here because I think this data-driven approach is pretty damn cool. I could probably talk about it for quite some time, but let's try to keep this within the schedule.
I can give you 2 extra minutes.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm going to be talking about web stuff mainly because that's what we started with. But you know, these approaches should be used everywhere, in my opinion. Well, okay, maybe not at home, especially with 2 or 6 years olds. Data doesn't really fly with those guys. But otherwise, I'm going to try to keep this very hands-on, very low level, because it's sometimes very hard to find stuff like that, and because we are a very open and public company owned by all of you, we can share easier. And because I want to keep this very hands-on, very low level, the correct point to start with is our vision. So our vision is, I may have lost something in translation, but our vision is to offer personalized service and automatically personalized service within the gaming space, and also personalized electronic communications that the customer feels that it's improved service instead of advertising. And to get to that vision, or to make that a reality, it requires analysis. I mean, there's no way of knowing if anybody likes what we do if we don't really measure. And this also this vision comes from a necessity. Veikkaus's reason for existence is to sponsor arts, sports, and sciences, not like the Finnish IT sector or advertising companies or anything. So to be able to really funnel the money we make to the right causes, we have to be efficient in what we do. So our vision is really the only one we can have to make this goal a reality. I mean, we've noticed that if people don't like what we do, if it feels like advertising to them, they're not going to like it. They're going to ignore it, and then it's a waste. And that's a no-no for us. So also why we do it. We are the biggest consumer web store in Finland. I put some big numbers out there. Those are mainly rounded down. And of course, this comes from the fact that our product is 100% digital, except for the scratch cards that you get from the kiosks. Everything else is digital. Even your lotto ticket is actually a row in a database. And so this is very well suited for web and digital sales also. And looking at the numbers, we get a lot of data with those volumes. And this enables us to, for example, run statistically significant tests many times per day for every feature if we can, or if we would want to. So, and looking at those numbers, it actually would be very, very foolish not to use them. 1% increase in any functionality that has any value to us, let's say selling something, 1% increase ends up being over 8 million euros a year. So it really it takes time, it takes effort, but we really have to do it because it would be foolish not to. We can't afford not to do it, basically. Also, I mean, in the web, you could always say that, yeah, we can do whatever because we're a monopoly company and that makes us very safe. That's not true. We do have a pretty good monopoly in the physical world, but online there's nothing that stops from any of you from placing your games in any service in any country because it's perfectly legal for you. So and since our rules, the rules that run the games, for example, how big our odds are and things like that, they are set, well, not in stone, but they are approved by the police, basically, by the Interior Ministry. So that's not something that we can really compete with, even though we are quite competitive in that area too. But what we have to focus on is the service, so that it's more fun to put the games in our service than in the foreign companies. Right, so that's why we do it. We just have to, and of course it's cool. Okay, in practice, what does this mean? First of all, we have some principles, of course. And this is how I put it. So without a goal, you will not succeed. And by succeed, I mean that you would definitely have done better if you would have known what you really want to do. And also, unless you know exactly how you measure whatever you want to achieve beforehand, it's not gonna fly. Well, actually, you think it's gonna fly because if you can decide the metrics afterwards, after the fact, you always succeed. I mean, because it's so much nicer to pat your friend on the back. Yeah, we did it because this thing is green. You don't really need to care about the red stuff down there. But if you have beforehand, you've thought about the issue, what do you really want to do, set the metrics, you really know if you want to pat your friend on the back or go back to the drawing room. Yeah. Also, before you start doing it, you have to know if this is the thing that's broken. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Of course, if you think something is not broken, you're probably wrong because nothing is perfect, but you just have to see if this is the thing you should focus next. I'm willing to claim that there's no perfect website, there's no perfect service, but when you look at your portfolio or your pages or whatever, pick the most important to be fixed next. Okay, so how do you fix it? Try something. You just of course you have to be prepared. You have to look at the data you have. You have to look how whatever the thing you want to fix is performing and how it's not performing, and then set your goals and think about your metrics. And then, unfortunately, data doesn't really design anything. It just gives you hints what might be better, or at least it gives you hints what might not be optimal. So then you need this designer guy who's gonna make an educated guess, basically, because it's more or less educated, but it's always gonna be a guess. And then you try it, put it out there, and look at your data, look at the change, what's happening. Preferably look at what's going to the right direction, and then look at what's not. Try to separate those two if possible, and then fix whatever is not working for you. And then you learn, you repeat, you fix it again and again and again until you're happy. Mr. Walsh spoke about this art versus science kind of thing. That there was a lot of texts earlier, about a year ago or something. Can you really design with data, or should you have this artistic vision that's actually the hearts, the humans, And so which is better, the human factor or the data factor? Well, you can't live without either. Data doesn't design anything, but then again, the master designer is not a master if he or she disregards the data. So, okay, these are the principles. So how do we do it? I admit this picture is old, but our new tool is not slide material, it's ugly, so I took this one. What you see here, we have a Kanban for each team, but let's just talk about the Kanban. We have several teams. If you have an idea, put it on there. Nothing's stopping you. We have this happy place for it. You write down your idea, and then you start thinking about why this idea is worth doing. You start, and then you maybe start telling about your idea to other people, but whatever. You write it down, and whatever you think, that's worth it. At some point, the team looks at the idea, and here's one example of an idea that's been taken a bit forward. First of all, you put your goals there. This case, there has been a business case goal. We often have business cases for these because for us, we sell digital sales. There are no returns. Well, some, but not really relevant amounts of returns. So it's easy for us to get the euros on the line, but not all the goals have euros. It may have maybe some, sign-up goals or subscription goals or whatever, but you write them down there. You analyze it with the designers, you analyze it with analysts, you analyze it with the developers, and try to get an understanding of what this really means. At the end of the day, you will have, whenever this is ready, this idea, you will have a team who understands it. They know the goals, and all of us know the rules of the game. So you have the team, the developers for that team know what they're going to build. The analysts have sort of built the business case with you. They may have used the Harrison-Stetson method, or they may have done some tests with partial solutions or whatever. But you have the goals, you have the hypothesis. And then you have the tech design, yeah. And also, if you make a visible change, you also have checked it out with our user experience designers. And then you have the team, and you can go. Feel free, do whatever needs to get that idea flying. And when the team has done its worst or best, it's going to be in production. There's going to be about 1 million people interacting with it, but it's not going to be done. It's not done when the big boned lady sings. It's not done when it's in use. It's only done when it's either achieved its goals or it's discarded, and there are these lessons learned. They're written down and discussed with the group. We discard a lot of stuff, and we've all we have these sort of not set in stone, but we have levels of benefits that need to be coming from any change that we do. Otherwise, we discard it. Because if we put in all the bells and whistles that bring in something, our website would be horrible with all those billions of bells and whistles all over. So it's good to discard your stuff unless it's performing the way you wanted it to. Sometimes it happens that you start going for some, I don't know, let's say euro goal. And then you notice that, okay, you're not making any money, but look at all those new registrations or whatever is coming from that. Or if you start going for repeat visits or whatever, and you end up getting sales, well, oops. Okay, and this is what we do with the user interfaces. We basically use the exact same process with our digital advertising. Here's an example I stole from another presentation. But basically, you set goals. Only after that, you create and you design. Then you also create and design your metrics. You deploy, you start measuring, you analyze, you optimize, you automate, you learn, and then you either automate or discard. Right. So this is the way we do it, and then I thought that some actual cases would be interesting, because we have quite a lot of them, and some of these actually have taught us a lot of things. First of all, there are different kinds of changes that you can do, and these behave a bit differently. First of them are big changes, like completely new pages, completely new games, or big renewals, or whatever. For games, we are a bit tied, because we really can't launch anything to a beta group, because when the rules are approved, the rules are approved and we must offer the same service to all the Finns. We have done sort of silent launches, so that we only put the product out in the web and don't start advertising it beforehand. But with our traffic, it's not really a perfect beta test, because there's going to be a huge amount of people checking it out. But yeah, so these are a bit different. There's a lot more guesswork for these. But I'll start with case Pelisali. This was our big first big baby, so to speak, which was big first renewal that we did using these kinds of approaches. I put heat maps on because these are they communicate a lot. Of course, there's a lot more analysis going on than just heat maps, but these are easier to show. So Pelisali is one of our big pages, and we had a bad feeling that it's not really delivering. Pelisali page was launched in 2010. It looked like this, basically. And the point was to be a place where customers can actually find the web-only products that we have, or faster-paced products. So, I mean, there were some products that were already familiar with people, but many products that were new and launched during 2010. So we put them into this Pelisali concept, and looking at it, it doesn't really seem to work as a page. I mean, the purpose of that page was to make sure that people notice these products and find them. And what they found was the one like at the top, nothing else. So we redid that page with this analysis and this data in hand, and made this version. As you can see, many of the games that were hidden by that old page are now available, and customers actually were able to find them and try them out and even enjoy them. Wasn't perfect, so this is the latest version. It's performing even better, even though we have way more products available, which means more competition for the screen real estate. And already from this heat map, you can see that this page is a lot more valuable for us than the old one. Also, looking at this, it looks that it's obvious, it sucks, bad design. Who would put out a page like that? I mean, bad designer, right? No. We tested that thoroughly. It tested very well with customers, and people liked it. It actually looked pretty cool, but it just didn't perform. Only the reality will tell you what the reality is. So this was a good case, and actually already with this we were able to show that this new way of working is actually worth a lot of money, and we actually did an organizational change partially based on this evidence. As to numbers, this brought us already, this phase brought us benefits that went into the 6 digits per week. So big bucks. Right, this is another one. This is also oldie but goldie. This is a heat map from 2013, so ancient. As you can see, or I'm not sure if you can, but the navibar is actually aesthetically very pleasing. It's got a nice amount of space. It looks sort of balanced, but you know, it's the complete page. The top, I don't know, 7% or whatever, is all the value we get from that page, and that's our front page, or used to be, like index page, the most important page you have. All the data that we have suggests that all the clicks and all the unnecessary delays you can take from your service process brings in a lot of conversion, brings in a lot of money, and brings in a lot of achieved goals. This clearly didn't really perform perfectly. If you can see the top level there, it's got our login bar. More than 40% of our visitors logged in and immediately clicked to their My Games section. So under My Veikkaus, where you can see the stuff that you've played. And also we saw that in the footer, there's some action down there. So people actually have to scroll way down to the footer and then find their game. This one actually, that's Pitkä Veto, one of our biggest products in the web. And people actually scroll down there to find it. During some weeks, it's actually our biggest product in the web. So, you know, scroll down to get the biggest product. Good. Also, results, not good. So, I'm going to show you the latest version. This is completely rewritten by us, and we tried to incorporate all the understanding that we had. My gaming history, that's actual. I didn't win anything from that last Saturday, unfortunately. There's a big banner space. It's a red flag for me, at least. I'm gonna get back to you on that. My services, so reminders, things like that, and then some game, quick big games. Instead of those 40% of people clicking My Veikkaus from the top, Oma Veikkaus right there, they actually can immediately see their played games on the front page. One click off the navigation. Also, all these big spaces, those are now personalized. So if you go to our website, you're going to see different stuff there than I am, depending on your gaming behavior. And because of this, that space actually has value. In the previous version, we also had big ad space on the top, but it was black, as you could see. I'm going to show you the heat map for this page. As you can see, the Navi bar, which is very cramped, it gets action, a lot of it, so people have taken it into use. But also some places on the page that people actually do use. From this, I'm going to tell you that this page isn't really working either. So unnecessary clicks in the complete visit, and looking at the extra data, the conversion rates and whatever, not optimal. But there's this thing that this is the front page. So making the front page look exactly like it should from sales point of view. actually doesn't really work with, let's say, advertising managers or like other parts of the organization, because they want their stuff there too. They do important work, they make cool campaigns, they do a lot of stuff. So they of course want it visible on the front page. This is also something that can be made better using personalization. Looking at the heated spots, all of those except this one and that one are actually personalized. So if you go to this page, on those spots you see different stuff that I do. And it actually causes people to find those elements and use them to get their stuff done easier and quicker. Right, so what we learned from this, I have 2 minutes, right? So you have to know what the beef is on your side. Why are your customers coming in? You may be selling advertising. Your customer is not going to be there for your advertising. They're going to be there for your content. For us, the content is games. So we have to take those, give them to the customer, and take everything that would bother them, would stop them, out of the way. And I'm willing to bet that even though your content wouldn't be the stuff or that you get your money from directly, this is the only way of making your service usable, fun to use, and if it's not, then somebody else is gonna steal your customer. And for this, I had this beef cuts picture. I have a few smaller cases from smaller, but I think I'm running out of time. So thank you.
Yes, unfortunately, Janne, you're running out of time because we have to get Antti on board as well. There are a lot of excellent insights. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us, because I think Veikkaus kind of has the, in the Finnish culture, the unique position of being able to do, and despite your kind of obligations and kind of regulations, you're still being doing excellent experimental stuff. I'm just trying to speak away so that Antti gets time to get his laptop hooked up, but I'm more than willing to take questions from the audience. We'll have probably time for 2. Let's start here.
So you said that you weren't really happy with the front page, but you never said what the goal was to change. What were you trying to accomplish with your redo?
So what was the goal for the front page redesign?
Yeah, for the front page, the goal is to put the things the customer wants to get from us available as quickly as possible. So for us, because there's a lot of games and a lot of game-related stuff, it basically means that you should be, if you come to play Pitkäveto and you get to the index page, you would have your Pitkäveto right there. That would be the optimal. It's not yet entirely possible, but using personalization and some other cool stuff, we might be able to get there. Also, with personalization, you get to clean the front page a lot, because you sort of axe the unnecessary things away. And for you, the unnecessary stuff is different than for me. So
Good. Then we had another question. So the question was, how do you balance between this kind of short and long-term gains, I guess?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We have a few mechanisms for that. Short answer. We have teams for the small stuff and teams for the big stuff.
Very good answer. Given the fact, thank you for the question. Given the fact that I'm running the show here, I'm going to ask one question out of 5 I wrote down. My question is going to be that when you presented the redesign of the Pelisali, how much time did it take between the different iterations?
Well, first of all, I have hard time telling, you know, what is an iteration. The first new version took 3 months. Bake was actually doing it around.
It was developed in 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. So, but
we had some release problems, but yes.
yes. So about 3 months. For the first renewal. But then, I mean, we've done, I don't know, probably like 70 iterations with that page. So the goal is to make a small change and put it out there as soon as possible.
So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anja, so much for coming.